Hi everyone, I'm here to do a part 2 for people with tight calves or plantar fasciitis. This can also help tight hamstrings, anybody with lower back stuff, and believe it or not, tight feet and calves can be attributed to chronic headaches, especially if the headaches are in the back here, but also in the front. So let's get started. You'll need a block or a book. You'll need a strap or a belt or something that you can roll and make very thin and long. And when you're seated, you may or may not want a pillow or something underneath because not everybody can sit with a 90-degree flexion in their hips comfortably. If you sit like this and you're trying to sit like me and you start rolling back, please support your knees because we want to have a nice straight spine. I'm a little bit of an anomaly when it comes to openness in the back of the hips to be able to sit straight with this flexion. So don't try to copy me, okay? Cool. All right, so the first thing we'll do is warm up the feet. We'll move them in different ways, which we generally don't get to do. With 26 bones in each foot, that means you have a lot of articulations to work with. So just have fun moving them in circles, make sure the toes move, make sure you switch directions if you're favoring one way, and then just for fun, just for the brain, we'll flex one foot and point the other. And then we'll move them in different directions, right? So we'll move them out, away from one another. That should feel pretty nice, right? And then we'll move them in towards one another and then out. And you may have to separate your feet a little bit or a lot to get this accomplished. That's fine. Let the legs bend. They don't have to stay straight. Mine aren't staying straight. Good. And now let's move them in different directions. So they're almost moving in a synchronous way like windshield wipers might move, except you're getting a nice three-dimensional range of motion here. And then we'll go the other way. Good. And then another really good exercise to do, we used to do this with the gymnasts all the time, they loved it, is to write the alphabet with your feet. I'm not going to go through the whole alphabet right here, so you're welcome to stop the video and go A to Z, maybe even back. Now you're going to take your belt or your strap, or you could take a pen or a pencil or a Sharpie or something that's grabbable. And we're going to do 10 grabs with each foot. You don't have to pick up the leg like I'm doing. You can even do it more casual and get a little bit of a chest stretch while you're at it. So we'll do about 10 on each side. And if it's really hard for you to pick up the strap, it might be easier for you to pick up something else. Like I mentioned, a pen or pencil. So feel free to change. And if it's really hard for you to do this, or you're getting a lot of toe cramps, which is totally valid and might even happen from the first repetition that you did, that means you're in the right place. You should be doing this video. It just may be something you need to work your way up to do 10 on each side without cramping, right? So always consider that when muscles cramp up, sometimes it means that we're utilizing muscles that have been dormant. Not to say that the muscles don't get used, but maybe they don't get used in a really mindful, deliberate way. So we're trying to send signals down to these muscles in your feet so they work better and they can work in concert with one another. So that way things don't get overly tight or certain muscles or tissues don't get overused. I don't know if that's 10. I'm going to assume it is. Good. Now this position isn't comfortable for everyone. It's not even my favorite. You see how high my knees are. So don't love it. Just a little stretch though. Good. All right. So from here, we'll take the strap around each foot. And I'm taking them across the toe mounds here. So the big toe mound, which is pretty easy to feel. You can feel the bone there, and then the little toe mound. I'm just taking it across, and we're going to take a nice upright position so we're not exacerbating any type of rounding that we might be doing throughout the day. And you're just going to point and flex. Yes, that's my ankle. My ankles are pretty crackly. They always have been, but never been injured. Knock on wood. And as you do this, you don't have to put a lot of resistance into it, but you could. So you could put some resistance into the pointing. It's more like flointing. I mean, if you point the whole toe, your toes go with it. So you can put a little resistance into it. So as you point forward, you're activating the calves, and as you stretch back, they're getting tugged on a bit. For some of you, it might feel like they're getting tugged on a lot, right? And we'll do the other side. So again, it doesn't have to be a yoga strap. You could have a towel, you could have a belt. It's all good. And as you do this, make sure you're breathing. So I know when you're first learning a routine, you're really focused on what you're doing, but don't forget to breathe. Breathing through the nose is ideal, but just do what you need to. Again, I'm not counting, but I'm going to guess this is 10. I don't know. Now another thing you can do with a strap, I mean they make things that you can purchase to do this, but I don't see the point when you can make your own things. And so you can take your strap, or whatever it is, cloth of some kind, a thick string, and just take it in between the toes. So now you got space in between your toes. Feels kind of funky. Or, if you want to, you can just do this with your fingers. There's that. And you can squeeze your toes into your fingers, and you can try to release the pressure against the knuckles. You got your toe knuckles and your finger knuckles together, and it's probably a little painful, but should be tolerable. So you can do that. You can try to crunch the toes like that, crunching the toes like that. Or you could just try to hug the toes in without crunching them. That's what my toes look like when they're trying to hug in. It's a little weird. It is hard to articulate your toes separately, especially these four. Okay? You could do that on the other side. In fact, you could multitask this. So if you thread your object between your tootsies, and then you take, oh, I forgot to tell you, do you have a tennis ball? Do you need time to get it? Do you have a lacrosse ball, golf ball, baseball, softball? A foam roller will work, it'll be a different surface. Go grab it, I'll give you time. We'll just have this other foot do the work. And I'll get started. You can also use your block or book or whatever, but it's going to be harsher, and I'm guessing you want to start with something a little softer. So a foam roller will be a wider surface, and it won't be nearly as pinpointed and as painful potentially. But if you roll the ball, do you need to see this better? Let's roll it back a little bit. Okay. So if you roll the ball back and forth, now here's the deal. The tendency is to still hold up the leg a little bit, particularly with the hip flexors. So this is a good way for you to note if your hip flexors are sort of working overtime, because they'll naturally want to hold your leg up. So to be able to make the leg super heavy, like a tree trunk, and then as you roll it back and forth, you may or may not find that the muscle's not smooth, like you're going across little Twizzlers on the leg, or that you have what appears to be a matching tennis ball for a calf muscle. That happens sometimes. So this could be super tender and painful. It's important to note, though, that you have a lot of lymph that passes through the calves, and so, believe it or not, this could be really excellent for your immune system. And I would say that when you're doing stuff like this, you know, potentially you're breaking up adhesions somewhere in the tissues in general, and that just allows for better blood flow, for better hydration. So a lot of people say, oh, I drink tons of water, and I look at their feet, and I can see the skin becoming a little prunish on the toes. And so then the next step is always, well, let me see how tight your calves are. And 98.763 of the time, the calves are super, super tight to the point where when I work on them, they start twitching or getting cramps. So if your calves are so tender and so tight that they're getting cramps from just light touch or something like this, then you need this, okay? So that's side one. Now I kept moving. I'm going to show you another way to do this, particularly if your tolerance for this type of pressure is sustainable, meaning you can breathe, you don't grit your teeth, you're able to be calm. So you find the spot that's pretty tender. There it is, I found it. And then you just pause on that spot. Now, if sitting on a flat surface and having your leg extended like this does not serve you and you can't relax the leg, elevate yourself. Sit on a bolster, sit on a pillow, sit on a block or two. So you can always do the search and pause method, which is actually my favorite to do. And then over time you'll feel the whole leg start to relax a little bit. And you could press the calf or the shin into the ball if you wanted to, and then move the foot around a little bit too. Okay? And just notice if other parts of your body are tensing up. Try to keep everything as relaxed as possible. If you can't, then you just need to keep moving around. Okay? We want to teach the body to relax, not to tense up more. Cool. So that could be a daily routine. Chances are you don't need to do the tennis ball daily. You want to give your muscles and tissues some time to repair. But if you incorporate that into your routine as little as 3 times a week, you'll probably see some pretty awesome results. I hope that was helpful. If you have any more requests, I love taking them. So please let me know if there's something you'd like to learn how to alleviate in the body, if it's tight, if it's painful, if it's chronic, if it's weak. I love to help you work with whatever it is that you're looking to work with. All right. See you next time.